The Mavericks take on the Celtics in a Beantown showdown. We'll get you ready for tonight's game. Coming up next on the Dallas Mavs pregame show. Hey, what's up, Dlls Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks analyst Bobby Karalla. We are Dlls Mavs, your favorite guys covering your favorite team every single game. And I appreciate you joining us here on DLLS Sports, a little pre-recorded edition of the Dlls Mavs pregame show. We're going to be over at Cosm tonight as the Mavericks take on the Boston Celtics, hanging out with the diehards and all of you as well. So come hang out with us over at Cosm if you're able to. Obviously, the Mavericks take on the Boston Celtics tonight at the end and conclusion of the NBA trade deadline earlier today. We'll get you ready for tonight's game over the course of the next half hour. Game number 52 on the season for your Dallas Mavericks. Tip-off at 6:30 p.m. on TNT. The game not going to be televised locally. The only way you could be able to watch it will be on TNT tonight, as the Mavericks at 26-25, 12-15 on the road away from the AAC, take on a Celtics team that's 36-15 on the year, 16-9 at TD Garden so far this year. Celtics an 11.5-point favorite with the over-under at 229.5. Lot to get to on today's show. Reaction from the NBA trade deadline, obviously for the Dallas Mavericks as they continue to move forward without Luka Doncic. But, Bobby, tonight they're taking on a Celtics team that's pretty hot right now, and looking are the Mavericks to tie up the season series as they play their final game against Boston tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough. It's going to be really, really tough. You know, this is a team now that coming out of the trade deadline has one empty roster spot that they're not going to be able to fill anytime soon. And then also, you know, Anthony Davis still out. Not to spoil the injury report, they got a lot of guys out tonight. So, you know, pretty shorthanded. Not sure what the mood of the team is or the atmosphere of the team. You know, it's always interesting coming out of the deadline. There's sometimes this feeling of relief that you're safe. You're going to be here the rest of the year. The team believes in you or whatever. But then also there could be a bit of a letdown. Like, I thought something else was going to happen, you know? So, from a mentality standpoint, it'll be really interesting to see how the Mavs approach this game. I was impressed with how hard they played on Tuesday against Philly. You know, I made a point to mention that in the pregame. Like, I just wonder what it'll be like. And they fought hard, and maybe they should have won, but they, you know, kind of got away from them at the end, obviously. You know, tonight's going to be a different kind of ball game, though. Boston is really, really, really good, and they did just come in your house and beat you down pretty good a couple weeks ago. So we'll see what kind of fight they have and how much resolve they show. But, yeah, I mean, I'm bummed AD's not going to play, but we get to watch Max Christie again, so it's all good.
The Christie agenda is alive and well on the DLLS
I'm not letting go of that,
podcast.
by the way.
No, we are not. It's about the only hope we can cling on to at this point. When it comes to this team, so shout out to Mad Max for the performance that he had. We'll get to him a little bit later on in our Mavericks player spotlight as well when it came to the debut of Max Christie. A Mavericks team tonight that, of course, 8th in the Western Conference. Shout out to them. They didn't play a game last night, but moved from 11th to 8th in the Western Conference as a result of the games from last night. The Mavericks still sit 2.5 games behind the Clippers for the 6th seed in the Western Conference at the moment. Unfortunately, though, has lost 3 straight games, 0-2 in the post-Luka Doncic era. Overall, 4-6 in their last 10. 11-19 so far this year against teams above 500, and 7-8 against the Eastern Conference. Of course, the Mavericks are finishing up their season-long 5-game road trip tonight. 1-3 so far on that road trip, having lost their last 3 games on said road trip. They'll return home on Saturday when they take on the Houston Rockets, who have been terrific so far this year, as the Mavericks finish up their 5-game road trip tonight. Meanwhile, for the Boston Celtics, second in the Eastern Conference at 5 games behind the number 1 seed Cleveland Cavaliers in the East. They've won 4 straight games, though, including what was a win on Tuesday over those same Cavaliers, 112-105. Overall, Celtics won 5 of their last 6 and 9-1 in their last 10 games overall. So we hot Celtics team coming into tonight's game. Boston so far this year, 16-9 against teams above 500. After tonight, Boston will be on the road to take on the New York Knicks on Saturday as we get that much closer to the All-Star break, which gets us to tonight's scouting report from our guy Bobby Karalla as the Mavericks looking to salvage some type of momentum on this road trip before they return home to take on the Houston Rockets on Saturday afternoon.
Yes, these teams did just play pretty recently, and Luka didn't play in that one, obviously. Maxi Kleber did, but that was the game that he got hurt. And so the Mavs closed the game like kind of small. You know, they wanted to roll Daniel Gafford out there. But against Boston, you know, they're so good at creating mismatches, but they weren't really attacking Gafford. In that game, Boston was going at Kyrie. It was a lot of Kyrie guarding Tatum, Kyrie guarding Jaylen Brown. Jaylen did get switched off onto some bigger guys at times and hit some really, really tough shots. And that's what makes them so hard to guard. But in that game, if I remember correctly, KG, you'll have to get me on this one if I was wrong. The Celtics attempted like 300 threes. Like they were just getting them up. They were getting them up because the Mavs didn't want to switch all the time.
That's right.
So you resort to either some double teaming or some dropping, and that can really compromise you, and the Celtics will take advantage of that. So I'm curious to see
52, in fact, by the way, 52 threes.
That's
in
it, but it was
that's
like
right.
40 like at halftime.
That's
so
right.
They kind of took their foot off the gas.
Right.
But it'll be interesting to see if the Mavs do concede a lot of threes tonight. The other thing that really stood out to me in that game is that they were, you know, obviously you're switching a lot as the game goes on, but Daniel Gafford was primarily guarding Drew Holiday, not KP. They put PJ on KP now. PJ is not playing tonight. So it'll be, I don't know who it will be, to be honest, but it's going to be somebody else guarding KP unless the Mavs go with KP on Gafford or with Gafford on KP, but then you run the risk of pick and pop stuff. So where they put Gafford on defense is going to be really important to see. Because that will dictate the kind of coverages that they throw Boston's way. And Boston, you know, the last time they played, they were kind of mired in like a slump of mediocrity.
That's right.
Ain't the case anymore. They're kind of cruising again. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, part of that 5 out of the last 6 games that they've won included a win over Dallas at 122-107 when at the American Airlines Center. It gets us to our lead story for tonight's game. And Bobby, obviously, it has been a rather tumultuous week for this fan base, for this team. Obviously, in the middle of this 5-game road trip, the bombshell of bombshells being dropped with this team moving on from Luka Doncic in acquisition of Anthony Davis and Max Christie. But at the same time, you mentioned it, played a lot harder and a lot better, had more guys available, obviously, as well against the Philadelphia 76ers in what wound up being a 2-point loss, 118-116, a couple of nights ago. How does this team try to find a way to end this road trip on a high note? You mentioned it's going to be very difficult against a Boston Celtics team, but even in the competitive nature of tonight's game, I feel like they've got to bring a lot of that same kind of energy and fight that they had against the 76ers and use some of that to channel what has been a difficult week for this team to try to get something going before they come back to the American Airlines Center on Saturday.
Yeah, the thing, though, is you can show a lot of fight and spirit and still get clocked by Boston. Like, they're just so good. So it's almost like, this is going to sound really fatalistic, and I don't mean to say it this way, but, like, I don't really even care if they win or lose.
Sure.
I just want to see the team play hard. You know, and they did play hard in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
They made a lot of mistakes, but they also were putting Kessler Edwards on Joel Embiid because they don't have a center right now. You know, like, Gafford leaves the game, and then Embiid was like, oh, yeah, I guess I'll just go lay it in every single time,
right?
You know, for like 5 minutes straight. So I can't really fault them for that, but they fought. You know, they battled. They did the same thing against the Pistons. You know, they just committed a lot of boneheaded turnovers, you know, down the stretch in that game, and that was kind of the hallmark of the Philly game, too, in the final couple minutes. But, again, they fought. They battled. What happened in Cleveland, I can't tell you. I didn't see the game. You know, we were talking about some other stuff that day. But, you know, they are fighting, you know, and that's – fortunately, that's a trait that these guys have, especially so whenever you have PJ and once AD debuts on Saturday, because AD is a dog too on defense, especially. But you know, fortunately, they possess that trait and quality. Unfortunately, they are going to have to scratch and claw and fight and scrap for every single point the rest of the year because this team now, you know, especially coming out of the trade deadline where they didn't add anything else. They really severely lack shot creation. They lack a lot of ball handling, a lot of playmaking. You know, outside of Kyrie Irving, it's Dinwiddie and Exum and
maybe Jaden Hardy.
Yeah, and he was DNP CD'd. Like I don't know I don't know what the plan is. And you know, all three of those guys are capable all three of them can pop.
Mm-hmm.
Any one of them can go off for 15 or 20 points and can hand out 5 or 8 assists or whatever, but none of them is going to do it every single night. There's a severe lack of consistency in that department. And, coming off of an era where you had Luka and Kyrie that you could depend on pretty much every game, like you knew what you were getting, now you don't. And it's going to be that way for the rest of the season. And, they're going to have to struggle to get to 100 or 110. And so defense has to be the calling card, and Boston is going to stress test your defense very quickly, and you don't have AD for it. So tonight, the result doesn't matter. I just want to see the fight.
Celtics, terrific team coming into tonight's game. You know a lot of the numbers already. This is one of the best three-point shooting teams in the league. In fact, they make nearly 18 threes a game, which is number 1 in the association. Although they're only 12th in the league as far as three-point percentage is concerned, they get them up and get them up quite often. We mentioned they shot 52 three-pointers and made 20 of them in the win over the Mavericks back on January the 25th. This is a team in Boston that's number 6 in the league in terms of points per game as well. Defensively, really good. Number 5 in the NBA in terms of steals per game. But on one thing that is a hallmark for them, they protect the basketball. This is a team that's number 1 in the association in fewest turnovers per contest. In fact, they only had 5 turnovers in the win against the Dallas Mavericks back on the 25th. Offensively, of course, the Mavericks will be led by Kyrie Irving. He's going to have to shoulder the offensive load again tonight, averaging 24.5 points per game so far this year. Daniel Gafford, who did suffer a stinger in that fourth quarter against the Philadelphia 76ers, he is good to go. Spoke with the media yesterday, and he says he is fine and ready to play tonight. Over his last 9 games, averaging nearly 17 points per game, nearly 10 rebounds, and nearly 4 blocks per contest as well in his last 9 games. He will be the man in the middle tonight with no Anthony Davis and the Mavericks centers being as decimated as they are from injuries. Daniel Gafford going to have to play some big minutes tonight against the Boston Celtics, so a lot going to be on his shoulders as they take on Boston.
This is the kind of team that you don't want Gafford to have to play a lot of minutes against because they're 5 out all the time. So, and as the starter, his minutes probably aren't going to line up too much with Luke Cornett's, and Luke Cornett is the kind of big that Gafford can destroy, and that you want Gafford out there for because he is a bit more of a banger. So it's tough, man. It's tough.
Yeah, Boston with that 5-out offense, everyone can shoot in that starting 5. And obviously with guys like Horford and Kristaps Porzingis, it just makes it that much more difficult for a guy like Gafford to play out in that kind of space. Mavericks and Celtics playing each other for the final time this season, as, of course, we mentioned it, the 122-107 win that the Celtics had just a couple of weeks ago. Kyrie Irving in that game had 22 points in the loss. Jason Tatum had 24 points in the win for Boston in what is the final matchup of the finals rematch from just a season ago. The Mavericks, of course, taking on the Celtics tonight. The Mavericks looking to have some kind of momentum before coming back on Saturday to take on the Houston Rockets. Anthony Davis, who spoke with the media a couple of days ago, I should say, not going to be making his season debut tonight. The report from our very own national NBA insider, Mark Stein, that he will debut Will Anthony Davis on Saturday, it appears, against the Houston Rockets. So got to wait at least one more day, or one more game, I should say, before we see Anthony Davis on the floor. Unfortunately for Caleb Martin, also the newest acquisition of the Dallas Mavericks, he will be out for at least the next 2 to 3 weeks as he's dealing with a hip injury that we came to find out on trade deadline today. An amendment to the trade that was made a couple of days ago. Dallas receiving a additional 2030 second round pick from the Philadelphia 76ers because, unfortunately, the hip injury that Caleb Martin is dealing with is a little bit worse than originally known.
It is funny, though, like...
It better be funny.
So if no.
I will be.
If they thought that Martin would be able to play like basically right away, but it turns out that he's going to miss, if it's between now and the All-Star break, he's going to miss, 5 games?
Mm-hmm.
If he's able to come back right away, that's 5 games. So 5 games of probably like your 8th or 9th man, that's what a 2030 second round pick is worth. I do think that's funny.
Time for more Olivier.
Like, we now know exactly what a 2030 second round pick is worth. It's like almost nothing. Literally almost nothing.
Oh,
it's like,
yes.
if you walk down the street and you see a penny on the ground, is it even worth picking up?
Of course it is. Of course
is it?
You never know what kind
What
of
are you going to do with that penny?
Put it in my piggy bank. One more cent closer to $1 million. Who knows?
That's right. We'll get there.
We'll get there eventually, Nico. We'll eventually get there at some point.
Or we'll be buried first.
Who knows? We don't know. Maybe the future is 3 or 4 years from now for us. Who knows at this particular point? Coming up here on the pregame show, who's in, who's out, and some X factors for tonight's game as well as we get you ready for the Mavericks taking on the Celtics in Boston. But before that, let's talk to you a little bit about Sleeper.
Well, KG, anyone that knows anything about me knows how much I love Max Christie. And so I'm all aboard. Choo-choo, all aboard the Max Christie train. I'm believing in him so much tonight that I think he's going to hit 1 3-pointer.
Okay.
That's how much I believe in Max Christie. I also think that Jrue Holiday, hey, he had a really big game the last time he played the Mavs. I think he's going to score at least, well, I'd say more than 9.5 points. I don't think you could score 9.5 points. So I think he's going to get more than 9.5 points. And I think that Najee Marshall will also hit a 3. With Sleeper, the more picks you combine, the more you can win with their multiplier all the way up to 100 times your original play. So my $5 pick'em could net me $14.30 in pure straight cash when this happens tonight. If you think you know ball and want to play right along with me, use promo code DLLSMavs. Whenever you play $5, you can get $55 free. Apply it to any contest. Does not have to be your first. I'm going to nail it this time. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in more than 25 states.
Nailed it. Nailed it. Great job, Bobby.
Thank you.
Hopefully the Mavericks will do a good job on the floor because, my gosh, it's an uphill climb tonight as they take on the
All they got to do
Celtics.
is hit 2 threes, and we win.
We win.
Yeah.
You win.
Yep.
Everybody. Well,
That's right.
That's right. You all win.
Yep.
If that does happen tonight. Mavericks taking on a Celtics team that's very hot right now. As we mentioned, 9-1 in their last 10 games. Mavericks looking to end their 5-game road trip on a high note. Let's get to who's in and who's out for tonight's game. We'll start with the Dallas Mavericks. The injury report, unfortunately, lengthy once again for this team's story of the year, it feels like, for the Mavericks. Derek Lively, of course, out with the right ankle stress fracture. Caleb Martin, we mentioned it just a moment ago, with the hip injury that he is dealing with. He is out tonight. Dwight Powell remains out with the right hip strain that he is also dealing with. PJ Washington, he remains out with, what's so funny?
I'm sorry.
Oh, my. He's trying to, are you laughing to keep from crying? What's going on?
No, the Dallas Open. Sorry. It doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about right now.
Oh, okay. All right.
Here, I'll cook on this. Yeah, a bunch of guys are out for the Mavs tonight. At least Dirk has a sense of humor on the internet.
Who is Dirks?
Just go to Swish 41's timeline. Everybody's out for the Mavs. That's
Everybody.
The spoiler alert. That's the spoiler alert.
Look, even Merriam-Webster was dunking on the Mavs for the trade that they made.
And Merriam-Webster, I don't even know if they're alive. They're just a bunch of paper. This is a bunch of paper.
Do you know how down bad your franchise is when the dictionary's dunking on you?
It's just tough, dude. Chess.com gave it a double question mark. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah. It's just like all my people are coming for me.
Oh, man. Not the chess community coming for you, too, man. Damn.
Chess.com, big Luka Doncic fans. Big.
Oh, really?
Because Luka loves chess.
Oh, that's true.
They had a whole bot for him and everything.
Oh, man. Damn. Well.
Hey, I have a question.
All right.
Oh, yeah. What's up?
Can I be added to the group text where you plan your outfits for the day? Because I feel like I'm missing out on joining in on the twin shirts.
It's not that we plan it out.
I just want to be added to the group text.
When you're just
I feel
in
left
sync
out.
as
we just
we
have
are.
the connection. There's no planning
Like,
needed.
there's no planning here. We literally also have the same jackets, apparently, like in our cars waiting for us as well.
Yeah, so KG walks in. Or no, I think you might have already been here.
I was here, yeah.
So I walk in and I see KG and I walk up to him and we grieved for a moment.
Right.
And then I said, don't worry though. I have a black windbreaker. I'll just put it. And he was like, yeah, I did too.
It's literally a black windbreaker that's sitting in my car.
There is no group chat.
No, there is not.
We just know.
We just know. We're just in sync.
The
right
only
here.
group chat we have, you're part of, Tanner.
Okay,
and
I feel
it is
better
called
now.
Wellness Check.
Yeah, it is.
That is our group
Took
chat.
on a whole new meaning.
I'll peel the curtain back. It's called Wellness Check.
Speaking of in sync,
Check on your friends.
Yeah, exactly. You a boy band guy? Was you a boy band guy?
Not really.
No.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Insofar as an 8-year-old could be.
Okay. Tan, was you
I might have had a Backstreet Boys CD when I was like 8. Yeah.
Who's your favorite Backstreet Boy?
I
You don't know?
I don't even remember their names.
Nick. I don't know. Isn't one named Nick? Nick Lachey?
Nick Carter.
No, wait. That's a different.
Nick Lachey is 98
yeah,
degrees.
that.
That's right. There you go.
Yeah.
That's right.
So,
That's
yeah.
right.
By the way, they're back together now, you know?
Oh, great.
98
Okay,
Degrees
cool.
has put out an album, I think.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Oh, boy band, 90s boy band.
Well, they heard the Mavs are trading for KD, so they're like, it's time.
It's time to get everybody back together.
Like, Gen X, stand up. It's our moment.
Are we gonna go the whole second segment without talking about the game at all?
Oh no,
Might as well.
It just got me to thinking, oh man, boy bands. We were talking about. I said NSYNC. It got me thinking about boy bands. Justin Timberlake, NSYNC. But anyway, that is the state of us when it comes to us and this team and you. So we appreciate all of you who are going to be watching this and thinking, what the hell was happening during the pregame show? That is what was happening during the pregame show.
Just spelling Dirk Nowitzki DERKS NIWITSKI is
Like on purpose.
I don't know how you get to that. Like, I don't know how you get there.
Like, I hope that's just a terrible bit that they're just doing right now.
I hope they leave it up, honestly.
Yeah, because that would be. Make sure you take a picture of that so you can have it forever. Because they might delete it or something.
It's the one thing in life that can make me smile right now.
Yeah, pretty
Our
much.
matching clothes.
Our matching clothes.
And Dirk Nowitzki
our matching
typos.
jackets.
That's it.
Us talking about boy bands of the 90s.
That's
for sure.
it. Yeah.
Or the 2000s. Somebody's going to be like, what are you talking about? Boy bands of the 90s.
Yeah, everyone
2000s.
knows Backstreet Boys put out an album in 2000.
Yeah,
idiot.
Exactly. The injury report is lengthy for the Mavericks. Anthony Davis, he is also out tonight with the abdominal strain. But shout out to PJ Washington celebrating the birth of his latest child. That is why he is out once again tonight. Drew Holiday is dealing with a right shoulder injury for the Boston.
Oh, is he going to
play? Questionable going into tonight's
Oh,
game.
boy. Well, maybe my sleeper play will be.
I was letting you cook, and then I saw he had Drew Holiday. I was like, oh, man, does he know? I don't know if he knows, but hey.
Well,
Locked in now.
How about this? Fortunately, on sleeper, if you do make a play and then the player's ruled out, the play is null and void. You get your money back.
There you go.
Sleeper's got me.
Also,
The basketball gods don't got me. Nico don't got me. Sleeper got me. I know who I can trust.
You can trust us.
Yeah.
Because we're clearly wearing the same shirts. You can trust me for sure. Let's get
I don't even trust myself anymore.
But I wonder if Nico said that before he made the trade to
Dude.
to Los Angeles.
Do you think, I mean, honestly, I don't want to dwell on this, but do you think, like, whenever he got the notification that the Lakers were trading for Mark Williams, do you think that he thought, like, wait a minute, did I just get played? Like, do you think it set in, like, wait a minute, maybe Rob Pelinka isn't my friend? Like, that's actually a really sad realization. He would be really sad, I think, if he kind of views it that way.
I mean,
it would almost break my heart a little bit.
I mean, maybe. I mean, Rob did reportedly talk him out of, getting the extra pick in Dalton Connect anyway. So maybe.
Yeah, and then he used it to get a guy that Luka picked.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's
At the press conference, Rob is like, Luka, what do you want?
What do you
He's
want?
Like, go get me a big. Rob's like, okay, bet.
Done. Got you.
I'll just use the pick that your previous boss didn't ask for.
Oh, I hate it here.
Like, do you think Nico's like, damn, like maybe I don't have any friends anymore. Like maybe I'm alone.
Well, you know who is our friend? Max Christie is our friend because we weren't able to talk about him. That's right. We weren't able to talk about him during the pregame show. He said, well, I'm going to show you guys. And he went out and had a hell of a debut for the Dallas Mavericks. In fact, he had 15 points. My man had 9 rebounds as well in that game. Went 4-4 from downtown in what was 31 minutes of play. I thought, look, we're joking. We're trying to obviously keep from crying with all the laughing that we're doing. But shout out to Max Christie, considering all the circumstances. He came in, played like a professional, but more so played well as a professional in his debut with the Dallas Mavericks. I was impressed with the way that he handled himself and played against Philadelphia because he definitely, I thought, played.
I just can't stop laughing about that tweet. I'm sorry.
Oh, the Dirk tweet.
I'm sorry, dude.
It's hilarious.
I'm sorry. But he played confidently.
He did, yes.
He played with confidence, and he's 21 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I'm not trying to gas him up. I'm not even trying to cope or anything. I promise you. But, like, you're a 21-year-old kid. You're playing with LeBron.
Exactly.
You're playing in LA. You're like, oh my God, this is my dream. Remember whenever they played the Lakers on national TV, and LeBron wouldn't give the courtside interview, so it was Max Christie, and they asked Max Christie about the LeBron dunk, and he was like, he looked like a child. He was just like so bright, talking about what it's like to play with LeBron. And now you're in like the most controversial trade ever, and you're like the 15th most important thing about this trade. You're probably a little spooked. Like, I would forgive him for being like, dude, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to be part of this. But he came out and was like, no, I'm a ball. And he played really, really well.
Yeah.
And I was really impressed. Now, it helped that he made all the shots, and he's not going to shoot 5 of 5 from 3 again or whatever, but like he played confidently, and that matters in this offense. You have to be willing to shoot the ball. You have to be willing to make plays. He even put the ball on the floor and did some stuff around the rim. Tough task having to defend Tyrese Maxey with no center behind you, but he at least fought on that end too. So I'm intrigued. I'm in on Max Christie.
And participated on the glass. I mean, 9 rebounds is nothing to sneeze about, because he was able to really be able to help out. And as you mentioned, some of the playmakers had 3 assists in the game in what was 30 minutes of play in his debut with the Dallas Mavericks. That tweet has really got you sent.
Diehard Sarah also responded to me with the screenshot of the iconic Twitter reply of "so close, that is a shape," which I'm sorry, I need to lock in, dude.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'm a little delusional.
No, we are locked in. Look, man. What is this? Today is Thursday.
It is.
I feel like it's been 2 weeks since Saturday night at 11:12 p.m. Yes, that's specific of a time because that's exactly when that tweet dropped, or zeet, or whatever we call them these days. And it feels like it's been a matter of 2 weeks to a month. It hasn't even been a full week. But again, I think we echo a lot of the sentiments, obviously, from Mavericks fans who are still kind of shell-shocked and still trying to see this team play basketball in the midst of all of this, while still dealing with, oh my gosh, their franchise player and favorite player is gone, but yet and still the season is still continuing, and this team is in 8th in the West right now, with a chance, with hopefully some good health moving forward, that they can get themselves into a position to be out of the playing situation. It's going to be obviously tough, but my gosh. That's the state of the Mavericks.
Is dying.
I'm just picturing Dirk opening his phone and be like, "What the is this?"
He was sad. Oh, he was sad. He was
sad.
He was legitimately sad. He was just.
So yesterday on our show, we ran a poll in the chat. Do you want the Mavs to win the championship this year? 60% said no. It was only 200 votes. After the show was over, I went to Twitter. Now, Twitter is not an accurate representation of society, but on Twitter, I asked the same question. Do you hope? I framed it as hope. Do you hope the Mavericks win the title this season? 60% said no. It was 2,100 people.
Wow.
Now, there might have been some Nuggets fans or some Lakers fans or some Hawks fans or whatever, but there's a real conflict within this fan base right now about their own desire for their own team to succeed right now. And that's that's a lot to emotionally take in for the fans. And the players also know that. Kyrie acknowledged it. Spencer Dinwiddie acknowledged it. The only one that hasn't acknowledged it is the guy that made the trade. And by all accounts, the guy that made the trade is the only one that wanted to make the trade.
That's true.
And so there's got to be that same sort of not that the Mavs players are like, I hope we don't win the title this year. That would be ridiculous. But they probably kind of understand that the fans might not super love them right now. And that's got to be kind of weird to deal with. And they're about to come home to an arena that they know is going to boo them. I can only imagine how kind of conflicted and confused they must feel throughout this whole thing. So it's just really weird, man. It's really, really unprecedented. I've never seen anything like it before.
You should want them to win a title. You know why? If they win a title, look who gets a ring.
That's true.
Look who gets a ring.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
He actually gets a ring.
Bobby,
You think they'd invite him?
I don't think he would take the invite.
your tweet was deleted.
My tweet was deleted.
No, sorry. The tweet you liked.
Did you take a picture?
No!
I told you
Yeah.
to take a picture.
It's deleted.
Wait a minute.
It's gone.
Is it still here?
I told you. I said take a picture.
It's still here.
There you go. Take the picture so you can have it forever. So you can post that whenever you want to and just laugh whenever you need
Dirks
to.
is here. Yeah,
There you
everyone's watching this dude.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. I'm glad. Thank you, Tanner, for letting him know. So we
Just like,
make sure you took the picture.
Who wrote that tweet? Who wrote that?
Whomever that person is might not have a job.
I hope they don't get fired. I want everyone to have a job.
I mean, I do too, but my gosh.
It's an awesome typo. It's the best typo ever.
That's a simple Google search. That's a simple, hey, AI, how do you spell
your
Dirk
phone would
Nowitzki?
autocorrect that,
You could have chat GPT'd that thing. I'm like, hey, type in this for a tweet for Dirk Nowitzki.
Maybe the entire Shams Luka tweet was a typo. You ever think about that?
No, because too many people correctly typed it up afterwards. So yeah. Some X factors for tonight's game before we get out of here. Shout out to us and our amazing pregame show so far.
Yeah, this has been awesome.
If you're
And like, we're not even here to respond to what people are commenting.
no,
Like,
and I can't wait.
like
to
this
see
is probably the
comments
most like humiliating stuff ever being posted in here.
about
Like,
our
just
shirts.
just know if you got a problem with what's been going on, I'm at Cosm right now. Like, I'm like 4 beers in. All right, like the IMAX screen
I'm
is
probably
like
crushing some lemon
upside
pepper
down.
wings at this
Yeah.
point. Yeah, like your boy's having a good time right now. We are having a good time.
I'm already about to get thrown out.
Okay, all of 30 seconds more of seriousness. X factors for tonight's game. Look, man, if you're the Mavericks, you got to try to limit 3-point attempts because we mentioned a little bit earlier. Boston with 20 of 52 from downtown the last time these two teams got together in their win, and Boston, they get them up. We mentioned earlier, one of the best teams in the league in terms of getting up 3-pointers. They make the most 3-pointers per game. Even though they don't shoot a great percentage when it comes to the actual makes that they have from three, they jack them up and quite a bit. And all 5 guys can shoot in that starting lineup for them.
But if you do try and take away the threes, you're giving up something else. So it's
Yeah.
this real pick your poison kind of thing. You're either giving up open threes to Derek White and Drew Holiday, or you're giving up driving lanes to Tatum and Brown. And it's the Mavs right now with all the guys out that they're not equipped to stop both. So
Yeah.
they have to choose one, and you're just rolling the dice.
It's a pick your poison situation at that point. Last one for me. If you're going to try to limit the 3-pointers for Boston, that means if you're Dallas, you got to jack up a bunch of threes yourself. This is a team in Dallas who only took 22 3-point attempts against Boston in their loss and only made 8 of them. You got to get up threes against this team because if you don't, you're going to lose the math game and lose it very, very quickly. And you got to try to create some pressure on Boston. We mentioned a little bit earlier, only 5 turnovers that Boston had in the game against Dallas the first time these two teams met. Things were just way too comfortable offensively for Boston in that first matchup. You got to create some kind of resistance and pressure against Boston because otherwise, if you don't, you're going to be in for a Beantown beatdown when it comes to tonight's game.
And if memory serves, in that Celtics game, at least in the second half, there were a lot of offensive rebounds. Or was it the first half too? Remember there was that one possession where they missed like 5 threes and kept getting the putback? This is like, it was brutal. Whenever you're scrambling, you're not in position to get a rebound. When you're defending space, not a person. You can't box out anybody. So like,
yeah, that was the second half. They had 14 offensive rebounds in the second half.
oh my god, yeah. So you
Boston.
have to try and finish the possession. Like, it's really, really tough, man. And they don't have the depth. Everyone's gonna be exhausted. Like, it's gonna be really hard. It's gonna be really tough.
That'll do it for us here on the Dlls Mavs pregame show. We'll be back tonight, 15 minutes after the game is over with. We'll be joined by our national NBA insider, Mark Stein, as well as our Mavs beat writer, Tim Cato, as well.
What about Dirks Nowitzki?
Excuse me, it's Nowitzki?
Nowinski.
Yeah.
Dirks.
We love Dirk.
Oh, you know what? Someone said, "Hey, Dirk's here." So the person was like, "Oh, Dirks."
Oh, Dirks.
That's a common name.
That's still not it, right? It'd be like, hey, Dirk is here. Dirk's here. Whatever. Anyway, we appreciate all of you having joined us here on
Dallas doesn't respect its legends. This is another example.
or their generational superstars that come behind them. We appreciate all of you joining us here on the Dlls Mavs pregame show. Again, we'll be back post-game 15 minutes after
Live.
the game is over. Live. That is very
It
true.
won't be 15. It'll be 30 to 45 because we got to drive down from.
That's right.
From Cosm. So it'll be a little later than normal, but we will be here in person.
Mark Stein,
If
Tim
you
Cato.
want it to happen, like if you'll be back, we will too.
Thank you for joining us for the disaster that was our pregame show here today. We love you, and we'll talk to you afterwards between the Mavericks and the Celtics. Y'all be good. Peace.